back to Old Roommates. This episode, we will be taking a shallow dive into the 1987 movie Fatal Attraction. So grab your significant other and sit right down. We will be back.
Hey everybody, welcome to Old Roommates, the only podcast that revisits pop culture through a middle-aged lens. I'm Brian.
I'm Christina.
Welcome to the show. So today we are talking about Fatal Attraction, and this is from when?
1987.
87. So do you want to start with then in your... Or the first time you saw it, I guess, really.
Well, the first time I saw it, so it was in the movies, super scary. I forget who I was with. But a little side note, I remember my friend having a first date and going to see this movie on a first date.
Yeah.
Like, wow, that is pretty gutsy. I don't think there was a second date after that. But in any case, I was, must have been 18, 19 years old. It was in the movies. I remember seeing it, kind of feeling like he deserved it. I wasn't very sympathetic to him at all.
But did you relate to her then?
I did not relate to her, but I think we've talked about this before, that I didn't have a super healthy attitude towards men, I don't think.
Okay.
I just sort of, I don't know, I felt like they were just completely different creatures. And so probably not very trusting. And I don't know why. I didn't really get burned. Like, it's not like something happened and I had a great childhood and all that. But for some reason, I just had huge trust issues with men in general when I was about that age. And so I think this just fed right into it. And I was like, you deserve it. How dare you, you know. But, it was also like scary and creepy.
Did the bunny deserve it, Christina?
The bunny. Poor little bunny.
So,
go ahead. Where were you?
I think I can beat your story. I'm going to beat your story, and I don't mean to be mean.
This is not a competition, Brian.
Fine. But if it was a competition, I would win. So I swear in a stack of Bibles, 87, I was 14, 15, and I saw this movie. The Oscar nominations had come out, and remember that my dad, I would spend weekends with him. And he would truly let me rent any movie I wanted, because I think he was very hands off. He enjoyed drinking, being with his friends, and so he was like, "Hey, whatever movie's gonna keep you occupied." But here's the thing: it was my birthday weekend, and he's like, "What do you want to do?" And I was like, "I really want to see the Oscar movies, and I want to see Fatal Attraction." So at the ripe old age of 14 or 15, my dad and my stepmother took me to the movies to see Fatal Attraction. It was a Friday night.
That speaks volumes,
right?
Brian. It speaks volumes.
Fatal Attraction was a Friday night, and truly, 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 my take was, this is an adult film.
I should not be watching this.
But here's the thing, I think anytime, and I think even now, anytime you're with your parents, and you're watching, even at this age, if I'm watching something and there's, a love scene, and not that I watch much TV or movies with my mom, but, any kind of sexuality or the scene might as well be 5 hours long.
Oh my gosh.
It's it cannot get done fast enough.
I need to tell you a side note.
Say it.
Blue Velvet, one of the raunchiest.
Oh God, that movie is so disturbing.
I didn't know anything about it. I was with a guy, a boyfriend. We were watching it. My parents weren't home. They came home in the middle of it.
No.
My father was watching it with us. It was the number one most awkward moment of my entire life.
Oh my God.
So I feel your
that
pain.
movie, and that movie's way more intense than Fatal Attraction.
Oh, it was so intense.
Yeah,
it was so intense. I had never seen it. I had no idea how intense it was going to be. But I just wanted to just.
So, but I think I had PTSD from that, because when I watched it now, so basically I saw it and I was like, this is an adult movie. I understood the acclaim because the acting was Glenn Close is like unlike anything I had seen at this point in my life. So like there was that. They did a great job trying to capture the all-American quintessential loving marriage situation. There's no we'll get to this, I'm sure, but there's no real reason for him necessarily to cheat. But that's beside the point. We'll get to that. I'm guessing from the look on your face that we'll get to that. And but the point of me saying that was the PTSD, because now I think I've seen this movie once since then, and it was at least 20 years ago, truly. So watching it recently, like we watched it, I think like 3 nights ago. I kept waiting for like all the sex scenes, but there's only, I think, 2, maybe 2.5. Right.
Yeah,
there's the major kitchen sink moment. It's so weird. The water,
the water turns on. Oh my God.
And she's like rubbing water. I think.
There's the elevator scene.
Would have ruined the mood for me. The elevator scene, and I wrote this down. Just looks like it hurts. It doesn't. It's not. Is that sexy? And then it's the most awkward blowjob. No, it's always one boob at a time with Glenn. So it's like it's just one breast, and like in the elevator scene. There's so much thrashing about in that elevator that I'm like, ow! Yeah. It just looks like it hurts. It's not erotic. It's not sexy. It just looks rough, and they're just kissing. And then he, like, of course, kisses her boob, and then she goes down on him. But it's like it's just everything about it.
It looks very uncomfortable. It's not something I would ever want to do.
Nope.
Sorry.
Nope. No, I know. Well,
it's not happening.
I mean. It doesn't look comfortable at all. So yeah, I guess the biggest thing I think for me was like, where's all the sex scenes that I remember being traumatized by watching this with my dad.
Well, apparently, you only needed to see one sex scene to be traumatized.
But that was my initial reaction to Fatal Attraction. I don't know if you had anything in terms of the sex scenes. I mean. The water, I laughed out loud. A couple nights ago, I watched this. I laughed when she starts taking the water and like putting on her breast. I'm like,
There's no need for that. Yeah.
Well, also, we're of a certain age. We've had experiences. I really laughed. I think if someone did that, I don't like water.
It's
so weird.
It's really
dirty dishes. First of all,
and it's dirty dishes.
The damn dishes in your sink, like gross. Yeah. I couldn't. No.
Yeah, I mean, and I couldn't get over the fact that he brought her to his house.
No. Okay, so now here's the thing about that. It's not.
What do you mean it's not?
That first scene is her house, and I wrote it down because I wrote, where were they the first time? Because he says, "Oh, you live here?" When they're walking through the meatpacking district.
Time.
That's the second time. That kitchen is. Remember later on when they're fighting. That is the sink, and that is the setup of the kitchen.
Are you sure? I thought he had sex with her in his bed the first time.
No.
I was so mad at her.
They go right from the kitchen sink down the step, and it's a studio. It's a studio.
My mistake.
And they walk right across the whole studio into her bed. There is, but to your defense, there is a glitch in this movie because they're walking through the meatpacking district the next night, and he's like, "You live here? You live in this building?" Because it's like they're walking around the big sides of beef and everything. And by the way, it's amazing because that area of Manhattan is completely different now.
You were saying the same exact thing that Matt said when I was watching it with him. He's like, "Oh, it's funny because if she had it right now,
oh my god, it would be about $7,000 easily a month." But all that to say, he's like, "Oh, you live here?" And that's the second night. So that kitchen is her kitchen. Okay. He goes home with her.
So I completely misread that whole thing, and I apologize to Michael Douglas's character because I was really mad that he brought her back to his house.
Yeah.
So also, I should probably rewatch it with new eyes, but no.
Oh God. Yeah, but I if we're backtracking a little bit, so the very, very first interaction, and this is a big takeaway for me for Fatal Attraction. They're at the book party, and he is with his friend, Stuart. That's very good. And so really quick, the guy who bumps into him and spills his drink, he doesn't have a single word in the movie, is the father from 90210.
No.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's so funny. So then...
This is one of my favorite things about watching these old movies, is seeing who is in it.
Yeah, the guy that bumps into him, he doesn't even apologize, is Brendan and Brenda's dad.
How funny.
So, but then, what I liked about that scene now is that, I didn't notice it then, Glenn Close is completely in the background. Like, behind Stuart, like, the whole time. And it's really done well. And I was like, I was watching with Carl, and I'm like, oh, she's right there. And he's like, huh? And then, like, sure enough, he turns around. But therein lies the problem, if we're getting into the problems of this movie. The first thing Alex Forrest does is give the most terrifying look to Stuart Pinkin and walks away. She is... Right. She is terrifying looking, and she is very severe looking.
Yes.
Her cheekbones, her neck, her hair, her hairline. There's an intensity already.
Yes.
Did you get that?
So, yeah, my first thought about her is that she wasn't very attractive to begin with. I really didn't find her attractive. She's kind of a mess with the hair and everything, and maybe it was because it was the 80s and the curly hair was part of the fashion. But she was not an attractive woman. If I was a man and wanted to cheat on my wife, it wouldn't be with her, for sure. But yes, and I remember her giving that awful look. And then, but they have a conversation about that at the bar afterwards, where he kind of makes fun of her for it. And she's like, oh, was it really that bad? And, you know, she kind of redeems herself a little bit about it. She's like, I just don't like being hit on, which was kind of ironic.
Yes.
So, but yeah, I didn't think that she was attractive at all.
Yeah.
And even... I mean, how far do you want to keep talking
no, just keep
here?
Going.
Because,
this is Shallow Dives.
Yeah, the Shallow Dive. So one of the things that I thought was kind of strange was getting the drink and having like this conversation at the table. He was very quick in deciding to cheat on his wife. Very quick. Like, it was just a mere suggestion. And he's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like, what a dog.
Yeah.
What
I completely agree.
Dog.
I felt that too, like that. And I was like, you know what? You just have to be on board because this is that kind of movie.
Yep.
Because I agree with you, and I'll add, they don't have chemistry.
No.
She could have been talking to Pee Wee Herman. She is so like laser focused on like a target. It doesn't feel like she's talking to him, his character. There's like her prey. It doesn't feel like they're bonding.
No, not at all. And it definitely, I think, is a testament to her acting. Like, she was incredible in this movie. I really thought she was amazing in this movie. I kind of forgot like what a good actress she is. Yeah. And I was like, wow, like she's like was all in on this character. And it started from that very first scene where she was just, like you say, laser focused on him. And he, I mean, I just was shocked. I'm like, you're not going to have, like, and they weren't even drunk. It wasn't even like,
I know.
It wasn't even like I was too drunk and I'm like, oh, I'm horny or whatever. It wasn't. Like, I didn't feel any kind of chemistry.
No.
And it was more of like, oh, let's, a suggestion.
Sex, yeah.
And he's like, okay. I was shocked at how easy it was.
It was like 3 sentences where she's like, two adults.
Yeah.
Your wife's
are you discreet?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, I can be discreet. Whatever it was.
Yeah. Oh, it was
so dumb.
It's about sex. Like,
and the other part too was it didn't even. I mean, like you said, it was a pretty good picture of like the American life, right? So you see that they have a loving relationship. They have a young daughter. They seem to have a good relationship on the surface. You can see that they wanted to kind of fool around a little bit and they would get interrupted, which is, realistic.
That is realistic.
But it didn't seem like he was super upset about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was just sort of complacent with it, I guess.
Yeah.
And it didn't seem like he was so upset that he was, needing to have a release or whatever.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing from you is, if your marriage is bad, you can totally cheat.
Yes.
Cool. So next topic.
Oops. Just kidding. No. Definitely not. Never cheat. If you feel like cheating, watch this movie. Just watch this movie.
Going to Glenn Close's performance, and actually, you know what? And I will say, in Glenn Close's defense, I mean, I found my eyes always went to her. I think there is a severe look about her. I hear what you're saying. I don't necessarily think she's like gorgeous or an amazingly attractive woman, but I do think there was something about her that is attractive in the sense of harsh, mysterious, like different looking.
Well, absolute polar opposite of a wife.
That's right. That's actually perfect.
Yeah.
Christina, you every once
in a while.
You're just so wise. So wise.
I try.
But to her performance, I will say I'm jumping to the scene where she's waiting for him at his office. And just the look on Michael Douglas's face is so like, oh no, this is going to be a problem. And I don't remember that. I feel like I remembered her being there. I didn't remember the following scene where they actually have a conversation. And that conversation, I actually think it's some of Glenn Close's best work in this movie, because she's walking this fine line between, I'm much better now, even though I tried to kill myself. And, and like, she's like very calm. And then calm and smiling and thankful, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm buying this." And if I was Michael Douglas's character, I'd be buying it too. But then she says the thing about having tickets to the opera, the Madame Butterfly,
right?
And he said, and I'm like, "Oh shit, he's gonna say yes." I couldn't remember. I couldn't remember what happens, and I was actually kind of liked that. I didn't remember this, and he says no, and I'm like, "That's super interesting," because she's more normal-ish than ever, and he's shooting her down, whereas she's seems pretty unhinged and being very forceful in the restaurant. He says yes. And to your point, your then point about like, wow, what a dog, he deserves what he gets. Like, it is a super interesting performance.
It is. She does so well with that teetering on, normal. I'm delusional.
Well, because she says so many lines in a very calm way,
which is scarier than anything.
It's super scary because you feel like, people exist. These people exist in our lives. Like when she finds out she's pregnant, and she says, I had a miscarriage, and I really want this baby, and I'm 36 now, and I don't know how many more chances I'll get. And I'm like, oh my god, like I'm believing this.
Sure.
Like, even though she's a crazy psychopath, it's weird. Like, it's this weird wave.
Well, because I think it just makes it so realistic. Yeah. Because when someone is mentally, challenged or whatever, right? Mentally unstable.
Unhinged. Yeah.
It's not just that all the time.
That's right.
Right? I mean, sometimes you do have your, quote, normal, calm moments. So I think that was very realistic.
Yeah.
The going back and forth. I did think that they did a great job. I mean, obviously, her performance was amazing. But I think a lot had to do with just the atmosphere around her as well. I don't know if you noticed this, but it happened several times, and at her most craziest, what she's wearing is almost like a hospital gown. That's what it looks like to me. Her first crazy moment when he was leaving and she, tries to commit suicide. She's wearing like this hospital gown type of thing. And even in the last scene in their bathroom, she's wearing a plain white dress. Not quite as hospital gowny, but it's still plain white. Like it, and I think that really does a lot for her, like her mental state.
Yeah, I think I agree, and I think it's the same. And then when she goes after him with the knife in her place, when he goes to kill her, but he can't bring himself to it.
Right.
That's an insane scene, which we'll get to that. That scene is, I mean, I guess we can talk about it now. That scene is so wild, like the breaking glass, and it's them. I think there's maybe one moment where I'm like, I think that was a stunt double for Glenn Close. But that scene is so violent and out of control, tripping over bicycles, banging into walls, smashing glass. He's strangling her like... His face, I mean, talk about unattractive. I mean, there's a couple of shots of Michael Douglas from the really not a flattering angle where I'm like, oh God, he looks like he's deranged. I mean, and I think it's part of the point. But like, but yeah, there's just, that scene is so intense and so crazy. And she's also, again, wearing white. What I thought you were going to say is there's many scenes where she wears the opposite color of everyone else in the room. And so it's like I think in the first scene she has that like sort of gold top and everyone else is kind of in white and black, and you know, she really sticks out. And I think like Ann Archer, Beth is wearing like all black, she's wearing all white. And so there's like those little things. She has that white suit and all the men are in black.
So much attention to detail in this movie.
There is, and I think it's like, well, she always sticks out. Now, going into the scenes between Michael Douglas and Glenn Close, like, one thing I really didn't like, and I think this goes towards, like, the Adrian Lyne, because he did 9.5 Weeks, where it's, like, it's a little, like, too slick for its own good. Like, when she does cut, she slits her wrists. I didn't like... If you remember, the music are like Congo drums.
So it's funny that you say that because I actually have a note in here about the end of the movie in the drums, the music, the last scene with the drums.
Yeah,
and I don't know if it was. I think I wrote down like, was this an '80s thing? Like it was definitely like an '80s like drum beat.
Yes, it was.
So it might have been the same. I didn't notice it in the first.
Yes. Violence. They did it when he's like, oh, your hands are wet, and she's slit her wrist. And as soon as you see the wrist, it's like, boom, 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 boom. It's like these Congo drums. I'm like, this is intense enough. I don't need these, like, this weird music match.
Yeah, I almost feel like it was a sign of the times. I would be interested to find out, like, what other, like, horror movies or whatever suspense movies had for background music, because it definitely felt 80s to me.
Really quick, did you catch who the babysitter was?
Oh my gosh, I was hoping you didn't. Jane
Krakowski. Oh God, I love her so much. And she has like 2 lines, but it was great to see her.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have to dive into there's a lot of iconic scenes then that now I just don't know. And I was replaying, so the scene where Glenn Close is sitting alone, clicking the light off and on. Did that still resonate with you? Or
I did. I liked it. And I wrote it actually down because I did say that I loved like the juxtaposition of her sitting alone in the room, turning the lights on and off, on and off. And then it like would go to the bowling. They're all having fun at bowling, and then would go back.
Yeah.
And then back to bowling and back. So I liked it. I think it was a little different.
Yeah.
But I liked it. I liked the 2 totally different worlds we're looking at.
It's interesting. I was like, oh, you know, it reminds me almost of like when you're like a kid, where it's like, he loves me not. He loves me. And I was like, but that would never end. And I really it just shows her like her manic state of like, she'll be clicking that light all night long. I mean, it's pretty disturbing. And yet I think if it was any other actress, it might be laughable. Like,
totally.
You know, now that so much time has gone by because that scene. Did you notice when she calls him, she's sitting on the bed, and she has food in front of her. Did you see what the food was?
I did not.
I'm not kidding you. Watch this movie. She's eating Oreos, Doritos, Haagen-Dazs, and she has a glass of wine in her hand. I'm not kidding.
Oh my gosh.
And those are all the cliche, single girl trying to get over my guy. Like, that's what it's like, eating junk food, drinking wine, eating snacks. Like, I was like, this movie is weird. That wouldn't have resonated with a 14-year-old kid. Like, I wouldn't have caught that. But I'm like, wow, she's eating like everything in sight. She's eating like 3
You were
different
probably like,
kinds of
lucky.
Well, the Oreos looked good.
They did.
Yeah.
No, I didn't even notice the food. I really didn't. That's funny.
What do you think the scariest scene was?
Oh, God.
Because there are some really good, and just chilling. Maybe not like terrifying.
So,
you know, but
I mean, there were so many. One of the things I really loved, I don't know if it was the most chilling scene, but when he was listening to the tape of her talking, and he was in the tunnel, in the car in the tunnel, and it was just, to me, so chilling listening to her voice in that dark atmosphere. I loved that scene. Of course, I mean, moving forward, and oh my God, so scary when she was in the room talking with Ann Archer, and he comes in and he just hears the voices in the other room, and he knows immediately, and he's like, oh my God. Yeah, that's
mine.
So
it's
creepy.
Chilling then, and it was chilling now.
Yeah.
Like and I think because and it's really kind of lame because it's like, well, the worst that would have happened. Well, I guess she probably would have tried to kill the wife, but like the worst that would have happened is like she would have said, "We're having an affair, and I'm pregnant with his child." Like, and it would have been an emotional sort of thriller, right?
But it would almost be better for her to do that, but she didn't. And then she gets the new phone number at the end.
Oh my God.
And you just see Michael Douglas's like, But
you know what? Does that not make us on his side? Like, to your earlier point about like, well, he deserves this and he cheated on it. Like, in a way, the film, you have no choice to be on his side because she's crazy. But then what you're doing is you're really you're rooting for an adulterer,
right?
I mean, being dramatic.
It's very interesting.
It's
very interesting. I definitely felt differently this time around. I still felt like he was a complete dog, and it was just like crazy that he hopped into bed with this woman so quickly. In the scenes of them like having like this weekend of like running around and playing with the dog and stuff like that. That was kind of like,
I thought that was
gosh.
Quite a stretch because I'm like, wouldn't he be a little nervous with someone seeing them rolling around in the leaves together?
Like what is he doing?
Yeah,
like he's not afraid he's going to get caught.
Yeah.
That was just too much for me. At some point in time, I mean, it's not like you can feel for him. You're not necessarily on his side, but you can feel that anguish,
exasperation,
that anxiety
of like, what else do I do? What else do I do? Like, I made a mistake.
Well, I know what he could have done. He could have told his freaking wife at some point in time. At some point, he needed to tell her. It was getting completely out of hand. There was a point where you knew he should have known that she was not giving up and that she was going to, at some point, something was going to happen. And she wasn't just going to go away. So he should have, at that point, at least told his wife something. Like, he could have lied to her and said, there's a woman stalking me at the office.
Yeah.
She's delusional. She thinks we had an affair. You know what I mean? He could have done anything of that nature just to get it out there because she's becoming a hazard. She knows the phone number. And, hi, by the way, so effective. The house phone ringing.
Yeah.
That was amazing. You'd never see that today because no one has house phones. But it was like you jumped when the phone rang. Yeah. And it was so cool. I love the use of that home phone.
Jumping a bit to probably the final third of the movie with the bunny. Really terror. Like, really, that is a whole. This movie is very, very good. I mean, it really is. It's still. I do think it holds up. Like, I think there are there's some. I think some. As an adult in a like as a married man, like watching it now, it's like, oh God, because it's just because there's so many red flags for her. Like even before they have sex, there's red flags about her. So after the bunny is found in the pot, this means awful. A couple things. It means that whoever did this to the bunny, I'm putting myself in Ann Archer's shoes, okay, can get into the house. And quite easily, because there's no real signs of breaking and entering. She is clearly deranged. They seem pretty calm because they stay in the house that night Am I right about this? Like,
well, at that point in time, he did tell her. He did tell her about the woman. Like, he told her about Glenn Close. He said, "I think I know. I know who did this to the rabbit." And then
they tucked the daughter in.
Yes.
So they come back. The sun is.
You're right. You're right. They
still
didn't
daytime.
have the conversation.
It's still
beforehand.
daytime, right? It's still daytime. They find the dead rabbit in the stew or in the pot. They make it stew.
Wow. Well, I guess we know how you feel about the rabbit.
And,
are you getting hungry?
The stew. And they but then it's like, and then the next scene is him tucking Ellen in, the daughter. Mm-hmm. And then they go downstairs and he's like, let's talk. But then even after that talk, she kicks him out. I would have been like, oh, no, you're staying here.
Right.
I'm taking the girl.
Did they call her that night?
Yeah.
They did.
Yes. He said
it's
Beth
over.
knows.
She knows, yeah.
And she's like, you don't have the balls. And then Beth picks up the phone and she's like, if you ever come to my family again, I'll kill you. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. And she doesn't even let her answer. She just hangs up.
Right.
And I feel like we were robbed of a little bit of a moment there. I wish, like, I guess she just wants it. She doesn't want to talk to this woman. I mean, and I don't blame
right.
her. Like, she just wants to, like, threaten her and hang up. Like,
and it was interesting how the end played out after that, right?
Yeah, right. That's true. And I also think like it takes a lot for a character like Beth to even make that phone call.
For sure. I mean, think about everything she went through that day, and now she has to talk to his, the her
woman responsible
husband's
for it.
mistress or whatever.
Yeah. So I think there was that, but going back to the thing, like I would have been like, no, you stay here. This psychopath knows where we live. She's crazy. You stay here. I'm taking our daughter and staying in a hotel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because even if they felt like it was over, she's still unhinged.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can't imagine did they really think that like that little speech is going to say, oh, okay, I guess I'm going to stop stalking you now? I
mean, there is the idea that like, because it's all exposed, like that was the one, that was the thing she was holding over his head. I'll tell your wife, I'll tell your wife, I'll tell your wife. And the whole thing about killing the bunny, and Beth says, what does this have to do with anything? And he's like, she's pregnant.
Right.
And, and then she has her breakdown. I do think that was a little bit of where it was like, something needs to be reassessed here, because you have, like, and he does go to the cops. I feel like...
Yeah, he went to the cops, and basically said, oh, a friend of mine... This has happened to a friend of mine. That's what can he do? Right. So I thought that was a little bit silly. Like, you could say it was him.
Yeah. It's not like the cops didn't tell his wife.
I mean, I was happy that he went to the cops. I was happy to see that, because I didn't think that he did.
That was logical.
And I was happy to hear, like, the reaction. They, like, because an outside looking in, it's like, you don't have any proof. You don't know that she did this to the car. You don't know what's happening. Mm-hmm. And kind of not taking him seriously was, I think, pretty realistic. I think that really would happen.
Yeah. So I will say there is an opportunity. I feel like this movie is great. I do wish that we could have seen Alex's life because like this is over the course of how many days?
Well, I want to say it was maybe it must have been weeks, yes, because she found out she was pregnant. Yeah. So maybe a few weeks.
Yeah, so weeks. But I would have liked to have seen how Alex behaves at work. Like
well, and didn't they kind of work together? How did that pan out? Because that's how they kind of met, is through a work thing. So how was she? I know obviously she was like a new, not a partner, but a new associate.
She was new to that firm. It was a published. Well, he was like a lawyer. She's of some sort. Right, and she's a publisher.
So maybe it was she worked for the publishing firm, but they didn't have
like in the same office or anything. But they would have had to have worked together on some things. Maybe that was only initially until the legal contracts were signed.
Or maybe that just won that one book. Or something.
Yeah.
Who knows?
But I would have liked to have seen her just interact with I guess anyone other than Michael. She doesn't. I could be wrong. I don't think she has a scene with anyone else besides Michael Douglas and Anne Archer.
No, I don't think so. I can't think of
the affair. I mean, after this.
No,
right?
I can't think of any.
None.
interaction.
Or Ellen, the daughter, on the roller coaster. But they don't show her talking to the teacher. And this is actually, I think, really interesting. Like, they don't, how the hell does that happen?
Well, that's something that would never happen today.
Yeah, right.
I will tell you right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have that actually written down too. Like, how did she get Ellen? And why would Ellen go with her unless she's used to having babysitters or something?
Yeah.
And I mean, I wouldn't put it past Glenn Close's character, Alex, to be smart enough and charming enough to be like, oh, yes, I'm here, you know. What's his name? I forget what his name was in the movie. Dan. Oh, Dan sent me, you know, whatever. I mean, she knows enough about him and his wife.
Yeah. I would have appreciated, like, a brown wig in the back seat and sunglasses or something. Like, give us something. Like, it's because you're right. That would never happen today.
So, and that whole scene was interesting in that she comes to pick up her daughter and she's gone and she's freaking out. But did she ever call Dan? She never called Dan. She doesn't know. Like, so that's the first thing I would do. If I went to pick Emily up and she was not there, the first thing I would do, I would call Matt. Even if I'm in a fight with him or whatever.
Yeah.
Did you pick her up? Do you know where she is?
Actually, that's it.
She never calls him. There's never any kind of, I mean, unless it was off scene, you know.
Off camera.
You know, that was very strange how that came to play, that she's running around crazy and never, and I mean, I guess I'm supposed to believe that she's not talking to him, but I mean, it's their daughter.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
And was that before
I thought she just
rabbit?
No, it's after.
That's after the rabbit?
Yeah. Because I thought, like, to me, in my mind, it was like, maybe she was like it happened so fast that she was like, oh God, I don't wonder.
But she was driving around the neighborhood.
Yeah. I think it all happened very fast. I think, it's not like she had a cell phone in her car. Like, I think that to me was like, that's a really good point. I didn't catch it. But I think
that's the first thing I thought of.
Yeah, I think she was like, I don't want to turn to Dan. I'm just going to figure it out and get my daughter back.
Yeah. But I think that in this day and age, the security is so tight.
Yeah.
But I don't think back then it was.
I have a random question. This is like, so imagining, because the thing about in this day and age, what do you think, like, Alex is like at work? Like, in terms of Dan. I'm going back to this because I was like, is she that person that's like, oh my gosh, he's just the best guy, and, you know, it's a weird time right now, but I know we'll figure it. Or is she like, this guy is such a jerk, and he's not going to treat me this way, and like her coworkers like, I think you go, girl.
Well, I think it starts out with him being super great, and
yeah.
I think the turning point was when she allegedly gets pregnant.
Yeah,
and I think that's when, because it's her conversation with him was all about, it's okay, I'm not asking you for anything, everything's fine, I'm going to raise it myself or whatever. And then it's almost like from that moment on, all of a sudden the conversation is like, do you think you're going to shirk your responsibilities and you can't treat me this way? So I think that when she got pregnant, and I mean, I guess it was a true thing.
Yeah. I guess I'm trying to imagine like a real life Alex, like a real life Glenn Close character, where like you're sitting next to this person at work, or you're working with this person. How is she talking about this relationship? That's what I'm missing. Like, that's, as an adult now watching this movie, I'm like, I need to see her living in the world, not just living in her bedroom on a phone,
right?
Or not just yelling at Dan in a subway station. Like, I need to see her interacting with someone else who is not part of this affair. Right. And you don't ever see that, and I wonder how she functions, or is that just part of it? I don't know, but that's all.
Well, I think
that's
an
adult observation.
Unstable persona hinges on her relationship with him, so I don't know that her coworkers would
even pick
that
up on it.
Side of her. I mean, she seems like quite a good sort of. The character Alex seems like quite a good actress in that I could see her saying, oh, I met a guy and it's great, we spent the weekend together, and then, you know, maybe even just being like, oh, he's fine, like not talk about the negatives, but more, you know, I can't, because I think that if she starts talking about the negatives, that's when she starts getting a little bit more delusional.
Yeah. It reminds me the SNL sketch for Red. Did you ever see Red Flag? It's a perfume commercial.
Oh my gosh, it was a Kristen Wiig.
Kristen Wiig, and it's like Red Flag. And I'm like, that is totally her character. But so I feel like that's a big hurdle the movie has to, get over in the beginning. But
do you think you're ready for a little bit of a break?
Oh, sure.
Oh, did you want to finish your thought? You can finish.
No, I think my thought is finished. I have something new to add, but it's quick. I'll save it for after the break.
Okay. So we'll be right back. Hey there, it's Brian and Christina. We just wanted to take this break to thank you for listening to Old Roommates, the only podcast that revisits pulp culture through a middle-aged lens. Please subscribe to Old Roommates on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And give us a rating or review while you're there.
And if you have any questions, comments, or observations, shoot us an email at oldroommatespod@gmail.com. And follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Old Roommates. Thanks for listening, and now, back to the show. And we're back talking about Fatal Attraction. Christina, any final thoughts before we get to our questions?
No. Let's see. What do I have for final thoughts? I mean, I guess my basic thought is that it was really cool watching this movie in that it was so well done. It had such great suspense, and I really liked the. I just liked how they did it. How they did it. Does that make sense? I liked how they had like certain scenes,
Shorty,
certain moments of peace, where you sort of got to relax a little bit, and then there was the psycho.
Yeah,
moments.
That's actually, yeah.
It was like not crazy suspense, psycho all the time. There was like just moments where you could just like kind of relax a little bit.
Well, it was smart in the sense that like those moments you're talking about where it's quiet are his family life. Mm-hmm. And he knows that he jeopardized that peace and normalcy for this whatever exciting night that is now ruining his life. So it is a good balance of that. I think that I loved a lot about it. I do think the ending, which you can talk about in the the bathroom scene, isn't. There's some, of course, logic that is questionable. I mean, we truly see blood coming out of her mouth, dying in a bathtub, and then I know.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the blood coming out of the mouth when people die thing.
Yeah. Well, also then she jumps up and for one last killing or gasp, and it's like
for me, I kind of expected that to happen.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because I've been, it's happened so many times. What was it? You had a word for that a while back. When like the dead person jumps up. Didn't you have something? Or maybe you know what I'm thinking about? I'm thinking about when the killer talks too much.
Oh, the talking killer.
Yeah.
Roger Ebert used to say like anytime there's a talking villain, it's just to give the hero time to catch up with whatever's going on. But yeah, the undead. I mean, she is dead in that. I mean, it doesn't matter. But it's just a smart movie for it to go that way is just weird. But what also bothered me though is Anne Archer. So Beth is in a cast because she broke her arm in the car accident. So it looks like Glenn Close stabs her about 7 times. And does she really fight off all? Like, do you know what I'm talking about? It's very fast, and it's like, holy God, she's freaking out, and like, but I'm like, Anne Archer must be really strong,
right?
And but like that cast is like, and then finally she hits her with the hand with the cast on it. But that made me like. I
mean, I suppose if you're going to be killed, you kind of leave the pain behind, and
but I don't think she was even stabbed once. Like, that's what I'm saying. Not that I'm saying like, oh, it would have been better if she had been at least cut a couple times. But no, I don't know. But that was something that I was like, okay. I mean, I think the ending could have been a little tighter, and we know the history of that, where that was not the original ending,
right?
Yeah, and so you can Google that. But Is it time for questions?
I think it is.
Okay.
I think it is. So I will go first.
All right, cool.
If that works for you.
Yeah.
And I have an F, marry, kill for you. And it's a little bit unique. So the F, marry, kill I have for you is Michael Douglas, his character in Fatal Attraction.
Okay.
Michael Douglas's character in Romancing the Stone.
Okay.
And Michael I keep saying that, not Michael Jackson. Michael Douglas in real life.
Now or then? Like during the 80s?
I think now.
You're a monster.
I am.
Okay.
So here's my guess.
So Fatal Attraction. Okay. Fatal Attraction, Romancing the Stone. Now. Oh, God. Oh, God. This is making me sound so bad. I think... Well, I'm going to start with kill. It's just... I'm sorry. I would kill current Michael Douglas.
Okay.
Just not... I don't really tend... Yeah, it's fine. Marry, I would have to say Dan Gallagher from Fatal Attraction. Because the character he plays in Romancing the Stone is outdoorsy. He is kind of stinky. He seems stinky. Mm-hmm. He lives on a boat. Like, even in Jewel of the Nile, he's, like, living on a boat. I wouldn't want to live on a boat and be married to him. But I would partake in...
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you would rather be married to a cheater...
Yes, Christina.
...than live on a boat?
Yes.
The boat was kind of nice at the end.
It's just a lot of togetherness, closed quarters.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't even think about that.
Seasickness.
Well, I knew you would kill the old guy.
Yeah.
And I thought you would marry Romancing the Stone and F, the Fatal Attraction character.
If you had said Basic Instinct, this would shake things up a little bit, but it's fine. All right, so now I have a
Thank you for that. Okay.
A true match game question.
Okay.
And fans of match game now... Do you need a piece of paper?
I have a special...
Oh, no, I have right here. Okay. Christina, Crazy Alex is so crazy.
How crazy is she?
Thank you for asking. For breakfast every morning, she has a big bowl of blank. Christina is writing her answer.
Ding.
Ding, mine's already done.
And Jane Krakowski is a regular.
I know. She's great.
On Match Game.
Let's see, Christina, Crazy Alex is so crazy. For breakfast every morning, she has a big bowl of...
Fruit Loops.
Fruit Loops.
Yay! We finally got a match! We are destined to be friends. Awesome.
Oh, that was good.
I do want to say one more thing about the movie, which I thought I just found out. I looked it up. That little girl, Ellen Latzen. Did you know that this was her very first role?
Wow.
And she never did commercials or anything. Her mom read an ad in a magazine that they were doing auditions, and that she was hired strictly on like her talent. And I thought that was pretty good. I thought she was very good at this.
She's also in Christmas Vacation.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's the cousin or something. Yeah, right?
She's good in that too. But
I was shocked that it was her first choice. That was the first role ever.
Yeah, she's very, very good in this movie. Yeah.
All right, and with that, I guess that's another episode of Old Roommates.
Thanks for listening. Please subscribe to Old Roommates on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And give us a rating or review while you're there, please. If you have an idea for the show, a suggestion, or a comment, email us at oldroommatespod@gmail.com.
And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Old Roommates. This is Christina.
And this is Brian.
Thanks again for listening. Till next time.